My name is Caleb Muefong. I am a postdoctoral research associate at the University of Chicago, and I'm working on tuberculosis, which is a lung disease caused by a bacteria called Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And what I do is I work on the innate immune responses to tuberculosis. I grew up in Cameroon, where I studied up to the level of a master's in biochemistry, so I have a bachelor's and a master's in biochemistry. And I later moved from Cameroon via a very fortunate, prestigious Commonwealth scholarship, which led me to the United Kingdom, specifically in Edinburgh. There I studied biomedical research. I did an MScR for a year. When I came back home after my Commonwealth scholarship in the UK, I decided to pursue a practical avenue in research in the field that was much more relevant to people of my part of the world. And at the time for me, that meant infectious diseases, notably those that are endemic to Africa. At the time I was thinking about HIV, AIDS, malaria, or tuberculosis, and the opportunity came for me to work on a Ph.D. In the field of tuberculosis research, which was one that was an international program that was run in collaboration between the University of Munich, but also a funding body in Germany, and other international bodies, who notably the Medical Research Council at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, which at the time was administered by their unit at the Medical Research Council unit in the Gambia, which is another African country in West Africa this time, close to Senegal. And what happened is I interviewed for that position and I got it, fortunately, and I started my PhD, which led me to spending a lot of time in the Gambia, because we're working mostly on clinical research. So we had patients coming in, and I would basically run assays, immunoassays on these human samples, notably sputum samples, blood samples, plasma, and things like that. And I obtained my PhD. After doing that, because of the nature of the research, tuberculosis being endemic to these sub-Saharan and relatively economically less fortunate countries, the nature of things makes it so that the more fundamental aspects of the research cannot be done there, sometimes due to lack of equipment, very expensive equipment, and sometimes also the know-how. Now we have more of the know-how, but the equipment, the infrastructure, some of the establishments, the institutions are not really there yet. So I thought I would to gain exposure to the experimental aspects of things, the more interventional aspect of tuberculosis research when it comes to therapeutics, but also preventive measures, I would have to leave. So I thought I'm going to join one of the big TB labs, and I reached out to my current PI, who is a leader, Professor Shabana Kader, leader in TB research. So that's how I moved to the USA, specifically at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. And I was there with the group, with Shabana's group, for about a year and a half, and Shabana moved to the University of Chicago, and I was one of those who moved there with her, and we have been working at the University of Chicago for 7-8 months now, and trying to reproduce the success that Shabana's group has been able to establish throughout the years, but notably build up my own profile as a researcher in the field of not only tuberculosis research, but hopefully lung research as a whole.
I wanted to discuss with you, what you think have been the most difficult challenges that you have faced in your career path and in your training and as a scientist, particularly because of you coming from a different cultural and linguistic background.
Being away from family and friends is usually very difficult, and doing that multiple times, creating bonds with people and having to move on without them, sometimes not willingly, but because of the nature of our job, the nature of the opportunities that come our way, or the opportunities that don't come our way, to start all over again so many times. And I think that can be frustrating sometimes. Sometimes we talk about the beauty of going out of your comfort zone and experiencing new things, but that comes with a price as well. And usually that price is not building up on as much as we would like on bonds that we already had. Now, language. I studied in the Anglo-Saxon educational system, so English wasn't foreign to me. So I would say that I didn't experience that much of a language barrier moving out of Cameroon.
And how about the cultural differences? Or you coming from a different culture, was that a barrier for you in pursuing your education and now in your current position as a postdoctoral researcher?
Yes. Yes, it is initially very daunting to have to adapt to a new culture, especially if you have to do that over and over again, as it is my case, moving from Cameroon to the Gambia, to the UK, which is completely different environment, completely different culture. And then coming back to Africa, but not in Cameroon, coming back in a different country and realizing how much, these people look more like me, but they too have different ways of doing things. It's a very strange dynamic. And then from there, moving down to the USA, you have to find your own space in there. So it's very interesting to sometimes observe all these things, but also to realize that we are all very similar, but we are also very, very different as human entities in many ways.
And in your workspace, have you ever experienced forms of discrimination, microaggression, or exclusion? Has that been a challenge for you? Has that been a reality for you? Or you have felt that you have been able to be included and respected?
I would say maybe microaggressions sometimes. So there is always, in my opinion, how far you can go close to a person or a community or a group, and how far they consider you to be. And usually that's what's translated, in my opinion, as microaggressions.
How many scientists from your country do you know that have been successful here in the US, for instance? Do you have a network of scientists that come from Africa, and is your experience above normal, or is it normal, do you think, being successful in science?
The US offers more opportunities than my part of the world, and there are people who have been successful, some from Cameroon, some from other African countries, from all over the world. The US is one of those places where you can see that people from all over are taking advantage of the opportunities and actually attaining certain positions which would not necessarily be envisageable in my part of the world originally. So yes, I think that the saying that the US is a land of opportunity, it might maybe not be as strong as it used to be at a certain time, but it's still relevant when you compare that to what I experienced back home as a Cameroonian living in Cameroon.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of the same for me as well. And what's next for you? I wonder where is your career taking you? What is the next step? Are you going to continue to be a postdoc for some years? You want to be in academia or in the biohealth industry sector? What is next for you?
Ricardo, before I started a postdoc, I took time to ask what it is, and a postdoc is a transitionary phase. It's not a phase where you're expected to be. So I see a postdoc as a transition, and when I started my postdoc, I gave myself a few years to transition, and if that doesn't happen, I will leave. As simple as that. I would leave, I think, think I'm willing to give 4 or 5 years of my life to a transitionary phase to become an independent researcher. And if I cannot achieve that, I would consider that the system is either wrong or maybe I'm not meant for this.
Do you have the support you need to achieve these goals in your institution, do you think, or is there something that you lack to be able to succeed?
I think that the group that I'm working with, the PI that I have, is a successful PI in many ways. She has the experience, she has the equipment, the logistics for me personally to succeed. There are other issues that have to be navigated, but I think that scientifically and even human-wise, I should be able to succeed here.
Excellent. Does the Impact Fellowship help you in a way? What has been the main contribution for you or the main gain of being part of this program?
The postdoc is very similar to a PhD in the sense that you have a project or a few projects as we have now, and usually you work on them with the help of people, that's for sure, in sciences, but they are yours and it's isolating sometimes. And the advantage of one of the advantages, because there are many, one of the advantages is that the sense of community that we usually lack as postdoctoral researchers. Sure, we are here today, I don't know if I can say that we are here today at the National Postdoc Association's annual meeting, being able to see all these postdocs. Is that community that we build. But this doesn't happen constantly. It's not a day-by-day thing, but what the Impact Fellowship offers us is a small community of 6 scholars with whom we can share our challenges and our hopes and dreams, sometimes our struggles, but also solutions to those, exchange and get to a point where we have someone to listen to, someone to us, someone to talk to, and cheer each other up when it's possible. So it's more of a community for me, basically. And if I should add anything to that, and we should give kudos to the NPA for organizing this and making it possible for us to have access to mentors and workshops dealing with specific experts in fields that as an entity you wouldn't think about. But once we get into some of these workshops and there is an expert in a specific field, someone who studied a field enough to come and sit with us for about 30 minutes and giving us extra information about X or Y or Z, I think that just having that is a huge advantage, and I'm happy to be here to share this experience with you and the other 4 scholars, and hopefully beyond that.